Your life would have been very different if you lived about 800 years ago in the Middle Ages. Travel back in time and see what it would have been like if you had lived long ago and far away. Europe in the year 1200 was a tough and dangerous place. All around you, powerful lords fought each other for control of land and the people who lived on it. These noblemen built huge castles to protect themselves and their material wealth. They collected large stores of protective armor and weapons to strengthen their knights in battle. The knights were soldiers, and some were noblemen. Knighthood was a great honor. There were two ways to become a knight. It could be passed down through a family, from father to son, or a young man could work his way up. But either way, men trained for knighthood from the time they were young boys. There were several stages in the life of a successful knight. When he was very young, he learned to ride and learned the rules of chivalry, including skill in arms, loyalty to his lord, generosity, courtesy, and service to God. At 13, he joined a noble's house as a squire. There he learned to use weapons, to care for horses and armor, and the important skills of leaping, fully armed, into the saddle without touching the stirrup. About age 20, the squire became a knight. He continued to practice his skills and fought whenever there were actual battles. When a nobleman's knights weren't fighting wars or battles to protect the castle, they engaged in a favorite activity, pretending to fight. This event, called jousting, was part of a tournament that a baron or king might host as a celebration. It was a chance for the knights to show off their skills. Noblemen who owned land made the laws for all the people living there. Matters involving the nobleman's property and matters of the law were settled in the great hall of the castle before the noble and his administrators. During these sessions, tenants often appealed to the noble for judgment. They made respectful complaints or presented local disputes about such matters as inheritance, death, or marriage. Many people arrived at these sessions to pay rents or repay debts due to the noble. In addition to knights, many nobles also employed men at arms. These soldiers had the same equipment as knights, but not the coveted title. It was the duty of the men at arms to protect the castle and lands and keep the peace among the people. The people who lived on the land owned by the noble were mostly peasants, poor, uneducated laborers. The peasants belonged to the land, and therefore the nobleman owner. They were not free to leave without his consent. Most peasants farmed the land for their lord, or one of his knights who had been given some land. In return, peasants were allowed to keep a little food for themselves. This system of government, called feudalism, had a number of positive points. In addition to food, the peasants had the protection of their lord's army and the stability of his laws to solve their disputes. Harsh as feudalism seems, it did add order to an unstable time. Feudalism prevented anarchy and was the beginning of what we now know as the constitutional form of government.